Hello everyone, Mr. Happy Zap here once again. Bit of an update here on my basement scenario. Getting ready to put the heating system in. But before I do that, I have to just get some drywall done. Anyway, the spray foam has been installed, and I have well over an R20 factor in the entire basement walls, and I have well over R31 in my overhangs, so well within the building department's code limits, actually exceeding them. These walls here, these are 2x4 walls that I put in. I explained that earlier, and I stepped them off 3 inches off the wall, so literally that's a 2x4 stud, so well, 3.5 these days. But I have well over 4 inches of foam all the way around, 4 and 2 pound foam cured out is approximately six value of R6 per inch. So I have literally in my entire wall cavities I have a minimum of R24. As you can see here, my the old foundation walls and whatnot that crept in, I had them spray foam that really well to alleviate the majority of the flow of energy in and out. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing at all. As you can see here, this foundation over here, the outcrop, and also this outcrop over here, I had them all framed in. They spray foamed them, so I've alleviated 98% of actual thermal creep into the basement. As you know, all my floors and the walls here all have foam board and vapor barrier underneath, so I'm basically vapor barriered from the very top of the house peak to right down to this floor here. So anyway, my challenge here, the reason I'm doing this video is because I had to put in the fire rating scenario for the spray foam, and you need a minimum of 5.5 inches of mineral wool, which is, you know, as known as roxwool or rock wool, and I had to put it up here. My challenge was, because I have open web joists, I had to figure out how I'm going to get this cavity to meet that fire rating. So I had to go along and literally put drywall and screw them in place all the way along here, and a little bit of labor intensive, but you know, it's in. Now I've already got one piece in here, so that's basically what it's going to look like finished. And I also have challenges over here where my joists kind of get clammed up because of the need for the structural support, because you know, of course, I'm free all the way across, and bearing walls, well, not really bearing walls, bearing walls are on the outside, but I had them over engineer it. So in this instant here, of course, on this side I already have that, and I could put a piece on here, but my challenge is somehow closing this all off so that it becomes fire rated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff all this area in here with as much of the roxwool as I can, and bring it out to this point here. And then once I have it to this point, I'm going to probably put a small piece of drywall across there, if I can fit it in across, just to kind of hold the roxwool in place. The pipes over here are holding in place, and that should satisfy the fire rating. And I'm also going to put a piece across here. Other than that, all the rest of it's just going to be sitting up in the rim board area, and then be sticking out a bit. But I have to go along there yet and kind of clean up the, you know, knock a little bit of the spray foam off up there so the rocks will fit nicely. It'll probably stick out, I don't know, a couple of inches, because it's 5.5 inches. And in some areas it'll be flush. But that should satisfy the fire rating. Of course, I'm going to be putting drywall on all the exterior walls. So these are the small challenges you have with, now if these had been I-beam scenarios, it would have been quite easy, because the I-beam is, you know, it's a solid piece of OSB, you know, sandwiched basically in between your the 2x4s, similar to this, except I'm using webs. And therefore I just would have been able to stuff that in there and the job would have been done. But the reason, of course, I went with the open web, a little more structural support over the span, and also I could get away with a shallower floor joist, which money-wise, and even though it's once again, I've overbuilt this house just maybe by 20%. But the thing is that any airflow, now my roof, crying out loud, my floor, with the heat down in the basement here being heated in the winter, with the air able to circulate in amongst the open web, my floors to the upper floor will be much warmer instead of being chopped off, because if this had been literally the I-joist, really it would have been stagnant air up there. Sure, stagnant air can stay heated, but this way I have airflow, things will stay drier. Of course, you can see a lot easier once again to do all your mechanical work and whatnot. So just thought I'd give you this quick update. Yes, with open webs, yeah, there's that bit of a challenge. If I had to use conventional, I just went with Roxel and went with the continued the air barrier down to the floor, but then used Roxel. I would have had to put in 2x6 walls. Here I only did 2x4. With the spray foam, I'm totally sealed. I don't have to worry about any type of air leaks, basically whatsoever. If I had done conventional, I would, of course, that barrier would have come down on the outside, and then I would still, with the Roxel or whatever insulation, bad insulation I had to put in, I still would have had to put a vapor barrier on, and then somehow take that vapor barrier and close it all in, and that would have been a really monkeying around as well. So I think the way I went here was a much better way and a lot easier to take care of the vapor barrier part of it, the insulation part of it, and the small price I had to pay, because all this right over there's all the drywall left over, and there's some down below here, drywall left over from the upper floor, that I'm able to cut it all up and screw it in place, and then just put the bat in there, and basically Bob's your uncle. And once the drywall is on the outside, inside of the outside walls, my fire rating is all there, and with the bats in here, of course, once again, if I do need to get back in there for some strange reason, I don't know why, I can. Now, as you can see here, I've got insulation. I'm gonna get up here a little bit. It's overhung a little bit, so I'll probably have to cut a little bit away. Once again, it's a little bit of a hassle, but I'll just cut enough away so that when I fit my bat in here, it fits nice and snug against the 2x4 top plate on here, and that, once again, I have that fire rating all the way around. So once again, small challenges you have to get around when you're doing a beyond code situation. But well worth it in the end. On my end walls here, let me crawl up in here, and I've left room to be able to there we go, left room to be able to actually put drywall up here from the floor to satisfy that fire stop break. So so all along here on both ends, all I have to do is basically just put the drywall up along. Actually, on that wall down there, I have it so it's set up so I can just basically stuff the 5.5 inches up in there to satisfy the fire code scenario. Here, because of the way the webs are, you'd have to cut around every one and fit it in. So just stick a piece of drywall up there, and she's pretty much done. Now I've got this side ready, and it's going to be another challenge to do that over there, but it just takes time. So just thought I'd show you this. Basement's insulated, and it's quiet down here. It's almost climate controlled. So I'm really happy with what's happened. Even back in my my cubby hole area, that's all done up in there. So I have to get up in there and put in the drywall, close, once again, satisfy the fire rating scenario because of the 2-pound foam. Of course, if I'd have done straight mineral wool, that would have negated all that, but I would not have had anywhere near as well of an insulated basement or structure. And that's my opinion. Once again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Roxul. It repels water, moisture, and all kinds of stuff, but I didn't want to have to worry about moisture. And even though my basement was very dry, I made it very dry. I put a lot of work into it to make sure it is dry, and it is dry. But with the spray foam on there, the dew point should be basically into the actual foundation wall itself. So any moisture penetration because of your heat to cold, that actual moisture should be toward the outside of the actual concrete foundation. It shouldn't be anywhere in this cavity, because the heat from inside here is not able to penetrate outside, and the cold from outside is now literally going to be, I don't know, almost basically stopped. So I'm going to be really curious. I did a video earlier showing you, I guess last fall, showing the heat loss I had through the foundation, how far the snow actually melted away. It was a good foot and a half to 2 feet. So I'm going to be really curious come this coming winter, how much, that'll show how much heat I'm losing, because theoretically I should have no snow. The snow should be staying right up against the foundation, because there's going to be no heat transfer from the warm interior here out to the cold interior, and vice versa. So as the ground itself, it's been warming up. I'm glad I waited this long before I did spray foam it. That way the ground temperature outside, we're now into middle May, the ground temperature, frost is out and whatnot, so everything's fairly stable temperature, and so therefore good adhesion with a spray foam to the block. Once again, every material has its good points, its bad points, and I find with spray foam, you need the right conditions to make sure that everything adheres properly, and then you should have no problems with any kind of losses through moisture, whatever. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, that's about all it for now. Like I said, the heating system is going in another, I don't know, 5 days, so I'm gonna have to get my butt moving, and that's why I have to kind of quit painting upstairs and get especially this wall here where the furnace and all my major ductwork is going along here. So I need to get this wall system here all done up, and I want it to just not have the board up there. I want to tape it and properly put the drywall compound on, and then paint it with primer, and then put one coat of paint on, so that it's the drywall is sealed, so that even if there's who knows, it could be moisture down here, but with the HRV, my humidity should be fairly constant, but you just never know, so I want to make sure of all that. Anyway, that's about it for today, and everyone, once again, keep a cool tool. Bye for now.